the Chicago Bears. Obviously, the last couple weeks, the last couple months, us and anyone, anything you've talked about the Bears has been this new offense, specifically talking probably about the two new offensive weapons they got in the first round, whether it's, how great Romeo Odunes has been, how great Caleb Williams has been. There's been a lot of talk about that, but there's some other really smart things the Bears have done to this offense, especially the addition of kind of an under the radar free agent pickup in tight end Mercedes Lewis. Let's get into the article and let's talk more about this on the other side. This is from over on Sporting News. It says Chicago has a very strong offseason so far and seems like it isn't done adding. The Bears even recently re-signed veteran tight end Mercedes Lewis after spending the 2023 season with the team. Lewis appeared in all 17 games last season with Chicago, but was more of a depth option and made just 4 starts. He's now 40 years old, but does have a strong chance of making the Bears' active roster. According to Chicago Tribune's Brad Biggs, he says, "My guess is Lewis has a pretty strong chance of making the roster," Biggs said. It does raise a question of whether the Bears will keep a fullback on the 53, a blocking tight end, which would be 90% of Lewis's role, and a fullback might be a little bit repetitive for the offensive coordinator Shane Waldron, who didn't have a blocking back last season in Seattle. So it seems like fullback, who knows? Mercedes Lewis seems like a very good option for the Bears as well. Curious what your thoughts on this one are, Nick. But before we get to you, Bears fans, in the comments section below, let us know. I think there's a very clear option here, but who is your favorite Bears tight end of all time? I think there's a couple of really, really great ones, especially if you go back a little bit later. But let us know, who's your favorite Bears tight end of all time? And while you're in there in the comments giving us your great answers, take a look at the description below the video and check out the list of reading that we have as far as books related to the NFL. There's some great coach autobiographies in there, some really good books laying the ins and outs of the NFL, and just some good overall general strategy books as well. I think any one of those you pick up is going to be great. So check out the list of books we recommended in the description below this video. But Nick, what are your thoughts on Mercedes Lewis and the Bears?
So I think the important thing to understand is that it's not about Mercedes Lewis by himself, right? If you look at the overall strategy, what the Bears have done this offseason, people are kind of getting caught up in the flash and the thunder of Keenan Allen, of Caleb Williams, all the new offensive playmakers, passing game. Everyone just seems to be focused on that, right? And it made all the headlines. So I get why everyone in the media made that mistake. But if you really dig into the weeds, you can see that the Bears have made kind of a sneaky good move this offseason in terms of changing one of their weaknesses into a big strength in an area that's critically important. And here's what I mean by this. If you look at the top teams in the NFC, the top 2 teams, the San Francisco 49ers and the Detroit Lions last season, they were 1 and 2 in the NFL in one category, according to PFF, run blocking, right? So that's a sneaky good indicator. The Philadelphia Eagles, who made the playoffs, were number 3 in the NFL in run blocking. The Los Angeles Rams, another playoff team, were number 5. So we're starting to see a trend here in the NFC, right? Run blocking grade usually leads to success. The Chicago Bears last year finished 23rd in run blocking grade, so a clear weakness. So you look at a guy like Mercedes Lewis as a run blocker, as a tight end, maybe in a fullback role, you can sit there and say, okay, the Bears are trying to improve their run blocking grade. But it wasn't just Lewis. Earlier this offseason, the Bears added Coleman Shelton, the center interior offensive lineman. If you look at his last season, 2023, Shelton was not overall very impressive in terms of pass blocking, 48.9. It's not very good at all. But run blocking, 72.6. That's quality starter stuff, right? We're seeing a trend here. In fact, if you look at the 3rd round pick, Kieran Amagashi from Yale, if you look at his NFL.com draft profile, they say early in his career, they talk about a guy who's got road grading power to clear running lanes with leverage and force. Translated, the guy's going to be a great run blocker day 1. So we're seeing a theme here, right? We're seeing a strategy that not a lot of people noticed. And it went all the way through the draft. It went earlier this offseason when they picked up Shelton. And now we're seeing it recently with Mercedes Lewis. The Bears, while they have a lot of flash geared to the playmakers and the receivers, and that's important, that's not undeniable, but the Bears have quietly done a great job upgrading one of their biggest weaknesses, run blocking, and turning it into a strength. And I think moves like this and strategies like this, they're not being picked up on right now. But this under the radar shift in strategy and style here from the Bears I think will pay huge dividends because everyone's expecting like Caleb Williams to, oh, their air raid, they're going to have to throw it 40, 50 times a game. Not true. This is going to be a balanced football team that can beat you a bunch of ways. Credit to Ryan Poles and his staff once again for recognizing an area of weakness and doing a great job addressing it, especially when he already did a great job adding the perfect quarterback and a lot of playmakers at the wide receiver position as well.
Yeah, Nick, and when you look at the tight end room for the Bears, I think what you're saying, you see the numbers. It speaks loud and clear of what the Bears are trying to do. Mercedes Lewis, back in the day, running a 4.8 40, he was pretty quick for a tight end, especially at 6'6", almost 270 pounds. This guy was an athletic freak, but he's 40 years old now, and that's really not his game anymore. I'm sure he can still make an athletic catch here or there, much more athletic than I am for sure. But Cole Kmet, that's the guy you want catching the passes. This is a young 25-year-old guy, same size, same ability, probably right now even a little bit better ability in the pass catching game. But when you look at his run blocking grade, a 54.9 run blocking average out all of last season, really kind of underwhelmed in that aspect. I would say especially so because Cole Kmet is not small in his own right. He's 6'6", 260. So it's another guy who should be good at run blocking, but last year wasn't very good as well. You look at Mercedes Lewis on the other side, 73.7 run blocking average. Very, very good. And I think it's just like you said, if you dive in and go look at the numbers of the players the Bears are adding, everything's lining up. Everything's showing exactly what you're talking about. The Bears are looking at where they were weak last year and trying to take almost, I would say, like a Moneyball approach. All right? Maybe, this guy isn't a great first baseman, but he's a good hitter. Mercedes Lewis, maybe he isn't the best pass catcher anymore. He's lost a step. He's getting a little bit older, but he's a great run blocker. Let's get all the best run blockers we have on this team and turn that weakness into our strength. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful idea from the Bears and head coach Ryan Poles. I think they are really making something special here with all these moves.